What do you mean in another life? There is no other life. There is only this one. You see, the life that you keep imagining somewhere else is not proof that you missed your chance. It is proof that the part of you still knows what you want. You say in another life you would start the business, or that you would move, or that you would write the book, or even finally become the version of yourself. But that other life is not real. It is just this life waiting for you to stop postponing it. You see, here's what nobody tells you about that feeling, is that your brain is not broken. It is actually doing what it was designed to do. You see, neuroscientists call this the default mode network. It is the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a task, where you're daydreaming, or even when you're imagining the other version of your life. See, the default mode network is powerful. It is where the creativity lives, where the vision lives, where the sense that something is bigger is possible comes from. But it is also where postponement lives, because imagining the other life feels almost as good as living it. The brain releases dopamine during the anticipation, during the fantasy of what could be, which means that your nervous system is actually being rewarded for staying stuck. And every time you say in another life, your brain gives you the small hit of a feeling that you are actually chasing. And because of that, you never move. But here's what research actually shows. You see, Dr. Joe Dispenza spent decades studying how the brain changes, and his conclusion was simple, is that you cannot think your way into a new identity. You have to act your way into one. And every decision you make reinforces a neural pathway. And every time you choose the same response to a same situation, the pathway gets stronger, it gets thicker, faster, more automatic, which means the version of you that keeps postponing is not weak, it is just deeply practiced. But the good news is that the opposite is also true. Every time you make a different choice, you build different pathways, a new one. Thin at first, fragile, and can be easily broken, but every repetition strengthens it. And neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, that the brain's ability to physically rewire itself based on behavior. You see, you are not waiting for a new reality. You are waiting for enough repetitions to build the neural architecture of the person you keep imagining. And those repetitions only start with one decision. And every life starts as a choice that feels too small to matter. 1 hour, one post, one conversation, one risk, one step away from who you keep being. But there was a study that was done about habit formation, and it found that it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. Not 21 days like the popular myth says, but 66 days of consistent repetition before the choice stops feeling like a choice. Which means the first 2 months are always the hardest, not because the work is impossible, but because the neural pathway is still thin, it's still fragile, it's still fighting against the older, deeper, more practiced pathway of postponement. But something happens around day 66. The new behavior starts to feel like you. You see, that habit becomes your identity, and the identity becomes direction, and the direction becomes a life someone else calls impossible. That is not a metaphor. That is biology. And again, you are not waiting for the right time. You see, research on decision making consistently shows that humans overestimate the emotional impact of future events. And psychologists call this the effect forecasting. We imagine that starting will feel dramatically different once the timing is right, like when we have more money or more followers or more proof. But the feeling does not change with timing. The courage you are waiting to feel before you begin is the same courage you will feel after you begin, except after you begin, it has evidence behind it. You are not waiting for a new reality. You are waiting for permission. And the only person who can give it to you is the one who keeps saying, in another life. See, that version of you is built after the decision, not before it. You see, there is no other life. It takes 1 hour, one post, one page built, one offer created, one system running consistently until it compounds into something real. That is all the other life ever was. Not a fantasy, not a different version of reality, just this one, chosen deliberately, repeatedly, until the brain has no choice but to rewire itself around it. See, that habit becomes the identity. The identity becomes direction. And the direction becomes a life somebody else calls impossible. There is no other life. There is only the one you keep choosing. So choose it on purpose.